Wow, this experience is so immersive. I think it's going to replace the smartphone. That's so exciting and cool. Like, can I take a picture to commemorate this awesome moment? Yeah, you know what? Let's take one together. Okay, I'm gonna. Oh yeah, hold it out here. Wait, hold on. Wait a second. I gotta activate the camera app in spatial mode. Okay, we're open it here. All right, I just have to press this button, and then we'll take a photo together. Okay, here we go. 3. Can we frame? Wait, are we both in this? Oh, maybe from this way. I think it's. Is it going? Let me try. How do I know if it's taking the photo? Wow, that was probably a great picture. Let me see. Okay. No, it's blurry. I think my finger was covering the cam. Hold on. Do you want to see it? Just hold on a sec. I want to see the picture. How does it look? Okay. Ooh, it says I have to enter your passcode because our optics are not the same. Let's just use my phone. Everyone these days, I think, is getting a little bit tired and bored of the same old tech, because it's been around for a while, and of course we're all interested and excited for whatever the latest cutting-edge tech is, and because we've seen so many generations of technology come and go, like the personal computer, and then the MP3 player, and the flip phone, and then we saw the smartphone come around and start killing off so many markets all at the same time, that market cannibalization is like fresh on all of our minds. So many people out there are thinking, okay, what's the next big thing? What's going to kill the smartphone? What's going to replace that smartphone? And I'm here to tell you today, I don't think we're going to see it in our lifetimes. There's just way too much practicality and marketing advantages and efficiency that comes with a smartphone. And yes, I do think that spatial computing via Vision Pro can be disruptive. Dare I say, with a few decades of iteration, the Apple Vision style headset tech will probably be able to replace just about everything else in our ecosystem, but not the smartphone. And I can tell you exactly why. There's always going to be some inherent limitations with a wearable, particularly a wearable that goes right on your face, limitations of weight and limitations of battery efficiency, and of course, limitations of cost. This technology fundamentally requires a lot more to just basically function than a smartphone does. A smartphone relative to, a VR or AR headset is honestly pretty dang simple. You just have this little rectangle, some glass, a battery, some circuitry, and we're able to mass produce these things like no tomorrow. In fact, pretty small startup companies that don't even get that much funding can crank out a smartphone because of the supply chains being well set up for it. That's why there can be like hundreds, if not thousands, of smartphone companies out there that you've never heard of that are still probably profitable because you don't have to sell in extremely high volumes in order to turn a profit with a smartphone. And there will be economies of scale, I'm sure, with the technology that it takes to build Apple Vision Pro, but it still fundamentally is requiring a much more intricate tech. Like with Apple Vision Pro specifically, like a 4,000 resolution per eye with these incredibly pixel dense screens, and that's the most expensive part of the whole process. They have to get really, really bright in order to look immersive as they're shining through so many different lenses that fit on your face. And as we're seeing through this whole pre-order process, in order for the experience to be like most catered to you, Apple needs to get a very accurate scan of your face. There has to be different sizes for the headbands and the light seals, and that affects your overall cost. And even with Apple's state-of-the-art efficient silicon, they're still only able to cram out about 2.5 hours of usage with this thing because it's capturing your surroundings with all of these cameras and LiDAR sensors, and your whole interaction with it is dependent on your fingers and hands, and that takes a lot of energy compared to just a digitizer attached to a little battery that can fit in your pocket. And that's why we're still seeing in the smartphone era, 9 hours, 10 hours plus of screen on time, and we're probably going to see that number grow with larger iPhones coming later this year. And of course, even as you can say, well, in the future, Drew, Apple will make Vision Pro devices more power efficient. We'll get more efficient silicon and we'll get more energy dense batteries. You can call it whatever you want. Graphene batteries, Drew, they're coming out next year, I promise. Or solid state batteries, Drew, I promise, they're coming out next year. It's just around the corner. Yeah, I've been hearing the same thing for over a decade now. I'll believe it when I see it. But yes, even with more efficient silicon and more energy dense batteries, all of that technology still trickles into the smartphone at the end of the day, which means that even if Apple miraculously found a way to take everything included with Apple Vision Pro and make it thinner and make it lighter and make it cheaper and could profitably sell it to you for $1,000, then everything they learned from that manufacturing process that got them down to that price point would mean you'd be able to buy a phone like a 15 Pro Max for more like $400 instead of, $1,200. All of those economies of scale apply not just to the headset itself. And there's a ton of use cases that I don't think are just hardware limited or software limited to the Apple Vision Pro headset. They're just fundamental limitations of the footprint itself, which I'm still very excited to try, and I still think could be extremely disruptive. Like I said, I think spatial computing with Vision OS devices has the potential to replace TVs, could probably replace tablets, could replace external monitors for our computers, could change the way we use our laptops fundamentally, could honestly see it replacing our smartwatches just by pasting watchOS on our wrist whenever it sees us do that motion. There's even a lot of health data that could be accurately tracked from more sensors on your face, but the smartphone is the one thing I don't think it will replace because of features like FaceTime. Like the personas thing, I don't think that's a software limitation. I think there's just fundamentally an uncanny valley you're always going to experience when you're trying to stitch together someone's reactions and their facial expressions as they're wearing a big ol' headset. I don't think it will ever look as natural as the real world does or as comfortable as the real world is when there's just a group of us all sitting on a couch together and we feel like FaceTiming a friend or family member. You just hold out your phone, answer the call or make the call, and they can all see you and you can see them on the screen. And it feels like Apple's slowly realizing this too, with every single year, the camera being a bigger and bigger emphasis on the iPhone every single generation, because that's where most of the improvement is. And honestly, that's how a lot of people are using their phones more and more these days. For example, I'm recording this video using my iPhone 15 Pro. This exact use case of me plugging in an external microphone and setting the camera away from me so I can talk to you guys and you can get kind of an idea of my real life persona without using memojis. This use case that we're going to use for online Zoom meetings and for recording videos or documenting our travel experiences and of course taking selfies, a very common use case of our smartphones. These types of features I don't think will ever really be ironed out or perfected with something that you have to strap onto your face to really appreciate. I suppose they could try to get the eyesight display better on the outside so that you get a little bit of a camera preview, but that's going to add more to the overall cost because the current eyesight display is not that high resolution and it's not going to be very easy after you take the selfie for other people in the picture to see how the picture turned out without also having to put on the headset and adjusting it for every single person, opposed to let me just hold out my phone camera, snap a photo, and then we can all look at it and airdrop it easily to each other. Same thing with shareability of smartphones, because there are some losses, of course, by not having the privacy of seeing everything just to yourself. But if you find a meme or if you find a little bit of information while everybody around you was questioning something, you can easily hand the phone to someone else and see, there's your answer, or see, mom, your flight has been delayed. See, I tracked it online. Or see, look, I found this item cheaper on Amazon than you can buy it in store. That kind of thing, I think, is always going to be fundamentally easier because it doesn't require everybody in the room to have the exact same device for you to share that information. I'm sure lots of people are saying, oh no, you could share those apps or share those links if just everybody in the room is wearing the headset, which we don't even have everybody wearing Apple Watches or AirPods at the same time. Heck, at this point, we still don't even have RCS on the iPhone. So I think it's going to be a long time before we can assume that all companies developing spatial computing devices can all agree on some kind of shared communication protocol. And on top of all of these things, I think it's easy to forget that there's still a pretty big limitation with Vision Pro and Vision OS as of right now, and I think this will continue to be a fairly large limitation, and that's typing. Lots of people in the media has said that, yeah, you can't really do your full 10-figure typing anymore with spatial computing. There is kind of a big keyboard virtually that you can interact with, but it has to be one finger at a time, which is definitely going to be slower than typing on a Mac or just typing with our thumbs. I guess you can dictate by like looking at the microphone icon and holding it down, but dictation has never felt as natural or as convenient or as private as people are used to as typing on a little keyboard with their thumbs. So if you're texting a lot of people or if you're looking things up or writing emails, I still think the smartphone is going to come out ahead as being a little bit more convenient than having to look at each letter of the keyboard and tap your fingers together. I'm hoping that Apple can find better solutions for Vision Pro in the future, opposed to me just having to carry around a big Bluetooth keyboard everywhere I go. Maybe I should buy the new Clix phone case. case, but then just somehow get that to connect to my headset. So you carry around this little keyboard with you. It's not a phone, but you carry around this little keyboard for all of your typing through Vision OS, but then no one can actually see what you're texting or the screen that you're really typing on. It gets a little gimmicky, but like I said, the camera features of the iPhone I don't think are going to be competed with. Vision Pro, sure, can have some decent spatial video recording options, but I still think spatial videos are going to be a lot more niche and a bit more gimmick than just, you know, travel vlogging style. Like, some people want to have those selfie sticks. They want to show the world exactly where they are, and they want the angle to be a little bit more precise, so they'll prop up their phone somewhere so they can talk directly to the camera, or of course access that front-facing camera. And trying to imagine a world where we don't have smartphones anymore and we just do all of our picture taking and video recording by using our heads as the viewfinder. Okay, everybody stand. 3, 2, 1. Okay, got the picture, guys. It came out great. Does everybody want to see it? Okay, one at a time. Hold on, let me adjust the light seals here. By the way, the passcode for my Vision headset is 123456. Opposed to just having this tiny little rectangle, which is going to have 5 times better battery life, probably forever, than a head-mounted device, and probably always going to be a fraction of the price of something that has to stitch reality together via external cameras and have state-of-the-art displays to look really immersive with eye-tracking tech. No, instead, we just have these little rectangles with touchscreens that have amazing cameras, and after we're done taking the picture, we can hand it to someone else. They can look at it, and if we need to look up directions, I can easily just tap away and within a few seconds get exactly what I'm looking for, whereas the whole typing by looking at the keys or just typing with your 2 pointers, I don't know if that's ever going to feel as quick or as natural or honestly as socially acceptable as just typing away on a little rectangle. And before some of you go off and say, well, Drew, I think the spatial computing's one thing, but once we get some Neuralink implants and start implanting computer chips into our brains, that might replace the smartphone, to which I still come back to. People love taking selfies. People love their video calls, and I don't see Neuralink even replacing that. And that's going to be like 30, 40 years into the future before that's a mainstream thing. So I could end up being wrong. Maybe this video will age horribly, but personally, I think that nothing in our lifetimes is actually going to replace the smartphone. It's one of those once-in-a-century type innovations that I don't think people truly appreciate. A lot of people are just convinced it's the latest fad. That's just what we're into now, but the next generation will replace it somehow. Maybe our watches or headphones will fill the void and we won't need smartphones anymore. Where I disagree. I think they might transition to be a lot more of a camera-focused and typing-focused device than they are now, because Vision Pro or Vision OS style devices, in the future, that might cover a lot more of our media consumption. So maybe we're not watching as many movies or browsing as much social media on our phones directly as we used to. But I do still think there will be always a cost advantage, a battery life advantage, and of course, a camera perspective advantage to just having a little rectangle that doesn't cost you that much, that can still last all day on a single charge. So much easier to market too at the end of the day. This whole spatial computing thing, I'm excited to try it out, but it's safe to say you really don't get the vibe of it. You don't really experience it truly just by watching commercials on it. You have to genuinely try it on and use it to understand how the UI and everything really works. Whereas with a smartphone, very easy to understand. You see a commercial, people tap on it, you get it. Thinner bezels, bigger screen, whatever. It's very easy to market. But what do you guys think? Am I wrong? Is there something out there that you see replacing the smartphone? Feel free to let me know down in the comments below. And thank you to everybody supporting this channel directly. Seriously, helps us out a ton, as does just watching these videos. So thanks again. This is your Apple Sheep here, and I will see you all in the next one.